Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 319. So what a week it has been. And I'm not talking about a good one. God, this week has just been hard. It's been super hard. I'll give you a little rundown. So today, what I'm thinking about we're gonna do, it's the day after Christmas. I hope you had an amazing holiday. I hope you got every gift you could possibly imagine. And I hope you're doing great. Today, what I thought we'd do is just kind of give you a little bit of an update on a lot of different things and answer. There were a few business questions, one of which I absolutely love, and it's about ego in terms of, have there been times in my career where my ego kind of got the better of me? And we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, it's been a hard week. It's been very hard. Two things that happened. The one thing was we moved my mother-in-law. We left her old facility, and it wasn't good enough for her anymore in terms of she needs memory care. Like I mentioned, she has dementia, and dementia is a motherfucker, man. It is one of the most heartbreaking things. And so we've been knowing that we were gonna have to move her, and we were waiting for this one facility, this brand new, like really pretty facility to open up, and so it was finally open, and it was finally time to move her, and it was stressful, if I'm being honest. It was stressful because of routine, right? You get into a routine, you get into a habit, and especially with somebody with dementia, you know, it throws them a little bit. And so moved her on Monday, and it was hard. It was hard, you know, trying to explain things to her, which she doesn't really grasp. It's just a whole new environment, whole new, like everything's new. We got her all new, like furniture and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, every day I've been trying to go over there, right? In order to, you know, see her and do that whole thing like I normally do. And it's about 15 minutes further than the current place. And so that 15 minutes is basically like warping my day like 30 minutes. But then it's more than that because I'm actually staying a little bit longer. Just kind of, you know, being with her and stuff like that. And so it's been hard. It's been a really hard week for my wife and I. And it's just been hard. That's been, it's been horrible. But the good news is she seems happy, and the place that she's at is fantastic, and it's much better than the other place. It's newer, the staff is more attentive, they've got more activity, so that's great. And it's just been, man, it's been hard, you know? Taking care of seniors or elderly people or your mom and dad, hopefully you don't have to do it yet, but you will probably someday, and I'm just telling you now, like it's a challenge. But something else that was a challenge, had my Pete and Pedro Christmas party last Friday, and we were in a room, we were at a steakhouse, and everything's great, everybody's, yay, all right, having a good time. Next day, you know the story. One of the kids, we had 3 warehouse, you know, people, high school kids that work with us part-time. We invited them. Well, one of them was getting ready to go on a cruise, did a little COVID action, and he was positive. It's like, fuck, okay, great, you know? And what adds to the stress level about, you know, kind of waiting to see like, hey, am I feeling okay? Or am I not feeling okay? And making sure that everybody, like my parents were there, like everybody was there. And, you know, to add to the stress is Tracy's mom, right? This Tracy's mom thing, you know, if one of us gets COVID, you know, we can't go in for X number of days. And so like they are very strict about, you know, exposure and stuff like that. And so that added to the stress of just not knowing if you are going to get it because you were exposed. You know, as of right now, I feel great. I've taken a little test. My wife's taken a test. Everybody, honestly, that was at dinner seems to be fine and not have gotten it. But that was just something else. I mean, if you guys have had close calls, or when you've gotten it, if you've gotten it, you know that once again, it's an emotional thing, right? And so doing all that, trying to work, trying to film videos and be upbeat and exciting, it's been a hard week for everything. And I'm talking everything. But anyway, things are gonna work themselves out, and we'll get into a new routine, a new habit, and everything will be cool. It's just, like I said, it's been an emotionally like brutal week. And sometimes you have it, right? But it doesn't mean you can stop. A lot of times you got to keep going and do the best job you can. Something else we're dealing with, house stuff, right? Building a new house, give you a quick little update. Everything we thought was finalized and finished. one of the aspects to the lot that we own that I knew was a problem or something that we were going to have to deal with was there's a big storm drain that runs like diagonally through the property. I knew that when I bought it. I've had engineering done, we had a plan, and now that we're actually getting the house and all laid out, the plan has had to change. And so we actually had to tweak and modify the garage area of the new house, and just working with engineers, I thought we were going to be like ready to submit for what are they called? I'm so brain dead. Permits. Yes. All right. I'm good. Permits. We thought we were going to be good to go, submit everything for permitting and we're off to the races. Not the case. So because of the depth of the pipe, we're actually moving you want to see layout? All right. So this is the new and updated pipe and house plan in terms of a footprint. All right. As you can see on the left side, up along the property line, we are running that storm drain, and then we're coming across the front and then down and connecting into the storm drain on the right-hand side. Now, the issue with this is on the left side, it's a building. It's owned by Marietta School System. So anyway, in order to do that, we need to get a variance or an easement allowing us to basically move the pipe to the center or the property line and do everything we want to do. And so, bunch of conversations with the landscape architect, bunch of conversations with the engineers. And so today I actually reached out to the person I need to talk to, the chief operating officer of Marietta Schools, to basically get approval. And so the good news is that he's a great guy and I think we're going to make it happen. Now, the downside to this is that I need to now get I can't even think today, a survey of their property and just show the impact of the pipe and how everything is going to work. But it's not going to be a problem, and I foresee that we are going to be able to move forward with the current layout and plan, which is great. I am so ready to get started. It's insane. But the good news is that we're dealing and working through the issues, and the other even better news is that I think we're going to be able to work out the issues and have a great experience. I don't know. Let's talk about your business questions. The first business question comes from our friend Arizona Living. He says, "Happy holidays, Alpha. Happy holidays to you, sir. What are your feelings regarding good debt versus bad debt? I've heard you say in another video that you prefer to buy real estate in cash." So I know that there's technically like good debt and bad debt. I personally feel like all debt is bad. And I know it's not, but for me, when I went through bankruptcy and at that point, I had a ton of money that I owed a lot of people, credit cards, not to mention small business loans. I was drowning, and it literally robbed every ounce of joy out of my life because the burden of that much debt and having and carrying debt, it was unmanageable. And it was the lowest point in my life, right? And so when I got out of that situation, I filed bankruptcy and I basically got to do this and walk away. I swore to myself, I will never be in a bad financial position again. And for me, that included debt, right? I feel like debt is really, I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't like owing anybody anything. And with my house, give you an example. Actually, it started, I think, with this office. I bought this office. I didn't have enough money to pay cash for it. And so I got a loan for part of it. I paid I think 30% down, got a loan for the rest of it. Well, every month I was getting this bill, right? And I'm like, damn, I'm like, man, I'm paying, 5% interest or whatever it is. A lot of money I was paying just for the privilege of having a loan. And so I'm like, I got to pay this down. And so I just started whacking it down. I'd save money, and whenever I could, I'd whack it down. Simultaneously, I was still saving and investing for my future and my retirement, right? You can max out certain things, and I know that you can, put more money in the stock market or mutual funds or whatever it may be in order to, grow that money. And I know, because I'm not an idiot, I understand that a lot of people would say, well, wait a second. If you're able to put that money that you are basically paying 5% interest on, it's costing you 5% to have this debt. If you can put it somewhere and make 7%, you're actually making 2% positive. So it's smarter to carry the debt, pay the interest, and make the money. And I get that. And logically, it totally makes sense. But for me, I sleep better knowing that I don't have anybody that I owe any money to. And so it was something that I started with this, and then I bought a rental property. I did it with that. And then, I bought my mom's house and I paid cash, and I did the renovation. I paid cash and I built my house. When I built my house, I think I got a construction loan for like $650,000. And so I spent more than that. And so I used a lot of my money in order to build the house. But I'm like, man, as soon as I can pay this thing off, I want to do it. And so for my birthday, a few years ago, I was in a position, and for the birthday, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to do something I never thought I'd be able to do. And so I went into Chase and went in. I said, I'd like to pay off my loan. And I wrote a check and paid the whole thing off. And so the church, another one, the salon, I paid cash for it. And it was something where it was expensive. I knew it was going to be expensive. I knew that all this money that I've got tied up in real estate would make me a lot more money somewhere else. But for me, it's peace of mind. I don't want to worry, right? I want to be in a position where if the world collapses or the universe collapses or the internet stops or whatever, I'm okay. And so I'm in a good position, because what happened in the financial crisis, a lot of people were over leveraged, right? They had mortgages, and then they had mortgages on their mortgage, and they had arms, and they had, like, everybody was loaning everybody crazy money. And it's starting again to some degree. Not as bad, I don't think, but it's starting again. People are giving people loans for a lot or the majority of the principal of the asset that they're actually buying. And a lot of people are, once again, becoming like over leveraged. Now, for me, I don't want to do that. And so I won't do that. Like, I won't, if I can't afford it, I don't want to do it. Just because it's for me, it feels bad to have debt. It feels bad to see the interest that I'm paying. I still invest. And that actually brings me to another question that has to do with finances. And it is from Christian Adkins. He says, how do you manage your own personal finances versus the finances of all your business? For example, having 3 to 6 months of savings for personal expenses needed versus the way you manage money for all your businesses, employee salary, loan repayment, miscellaneous expenses, your own salary. These vlogs are great for providing insight into parts of business that we wouldn't get to see, blah, 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 blah. Thank you so much, Christian. So how do I manage it too? That's a great question. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the management of that. Depending on the type of business that you have, right? If you've got an LLC, a single member LLC, right? Like, it's all yours, right? So for me, Alpha M is all mine. Enemy is all mine. Pete Major is all mine. I've got partners in Menfluential. I've got partners in Tiege. What else do I have that's mine? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the way that it works, when you basically have an LLC and you're the only member, you're the only person that is, owns it, all of the income, all of the losses, all the everything, it flows directly to your personal income taxes, right? And so if your business makes profit $1 million, that means it comes to my personal income tax of me making $1 million. And so, where am I going with this? I don't even know. Taxes and finances and management of them is not something that, I'm real super comfortable talking about, but it also, I don't know that I know that I don't do it probably right. I know that there's better resources out there for helping you sort of manage things, but for me, I am very conservative when it comes to spending on my businesses. I will spend if I can get a return on my investment. I am not a spender just to grow at the cost of profitability. Now, to some degree, you have to be if you expect to scale or grow. But for me, once again, I am very conservative when it comes to those sort of things. So I always make sure that I've got enough money in terms of, I don't like with Pete and Pedro, when I order something, it's not on terms. It's going on my Amex. And so I pay cash for everything. End of the month, I'm paying it off. And it's something that it's not smart though. I shouldn't say it's not smart. A lot of people can't do that because they are over leveraged or they don't have that cash flow. But because I've got multiple streams of revenue and I am not relying on, I can afford to do it. And so for me, it works best that way. And so I just pay for cash. I don't do terms. Everything is paid for. And, in terms of money reserves in your savings account, I carry way too much money in cash. And part of the reason is because I don't 100% trust the market. And even though that's crazy, and I do have money invested in the market and mutual funds and all that good stuff, but it scares me to some degree to just be like, here you go, right? I joke with my financial advisor and everybody, if there was a tin can fund, like put me in that. Like I just want to bury my money, even though I get on and understand like inflation and all, I understand it. Logically, I understand it. But for me, I feel better. And because I'm building this house and I'm going to be paying cash for it, it's expensive. And so I am holding a lot of cash, but I'm still investing for my retirement. And I'm also still making sure that my companies have enough money in order to run and, pay all the expenses and do bonuses. It was a very expensive December. Personally, I am just very conservative. And so in terms of how to manage your own finances, I don't know. I can't really answer that for you. If it makes you feel better to have 6 months in reserve so that if you need to shut down operations, you're good for 6 months, do it. If it means, if you feel okay with things and you only need 2 months, whatever. I would say invest in your business if there's an opportunity to make more money, right? If there's a way to use your money in order to grow and make more with your business, all day, every day, spend it. But just be careful because marketing is one of the big black holes of business, online businesses, right? And so just be careful. Be more conservative, in my opinion, and then where there's opportunity, spend the money. But if you try and spend it and you're not seeing a return or it just doesn't make sense financially, then cut it off before it's too late. I am absolutely the wrong person to ask these financial questions to. The last business question, though, is one that I can answer, and that is about ego. It's from our friend Shane Melcher, who always brings it strong with the questions. He says, a person's ego can potentially warp their ability to make business decisions. They might distort facts, look for ones that mesh with what they want to or believe. They may also become a target as others seek to exploit their cravings or attention and affirmation. They may also become difficult to work with, micromanaging and criticizing others. Have you ever found yourself caught in this trap? And if so, how did you become aware of the situation and what steps did you take to deflate your ego? So what a hell of a question, Shane. I think ego is something that we all struggle with to some degree. Now, one of the things that has kept me, I think, grounded a bit is knowing where I've come from in terms of it wasn't very long ago that I was literally driving a beer cart and broke and miserable and filing bankruptcy. And so keeping that in the back of my head and always being fearful that I could go backwards, that does have the ability for me to sort of keep me in check. Now, if you ask my wife, is my ego big? She'll probably say, yeah, his ego's big, right? But in terms of business decisions that I've made based on my ego, I don't know. I think that success has a funny way of clouding your vision because I think that there are people and it is possible that you experience some degree of success and you think that you can continue it or every decision you make is going to be a good one. I've had way too many failures though. And so I've got a few successful businesses, but I've got more businesses that didn't work. And so I think one of the hardest things you'll have to do in business or as an entrepreneur is be able to sort of acknowledge when something isn't working or a decision that you thought was a good decision isn't actually a good decision or it's not working out. And so one of the things that I have done fairly successfully is surround myself with people that will tell me the truth and not just what I want to hear. And this is something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start doing things, they surround themselves or isolate themselves or insulate themselves from criticism. And that's something that it's not fun to hear, but it's critical that you hear it. It's critical that you've got people around you that are willing to tell you the truth and not just make you feel good about yourself. And so if you've got a business decision or an idea, going to your mom and trying to validate that idea or that business is not a great idea. Going to people that are going to tell you the truth. Everybody needs good friends. People, mentors, I don't like the word mentors. Anyway, that's a different time, a different conversation. Surround yourself with people that are willing to tell you the truth, things that you need to hear, and then be smart enough, hopefully, to hear it. Now, for me, sometimes I freak out, right? I am not the easiest person in the world to be business partners with or to work for. I expect a lot of people, but I also expect a lot of myself, and I'm willing to bring my A game and do whatever I can in order to take care of the people that work for me. And so I expect a lot, and I am not the best in terms of delegation. It's something that I've gotten better at. It's something that at first when I started, my businesses, I was horrible at it. I wouldn't delegate anything. I was like, I can handle it. And when I started to delegate, that's when things started to get better. And I realized, you know what, there are people that are better suited for the things that I personally was micromanaging. And I was dumb enough to think that I could handle everything, right? That's ego, once again, talking and interfering with your ability to see clearly or to realize that outsourcing is going to allow you more time in order to do what you love to do and, build the business better and bigger and more successfully, because you're allowing yourself to get out of the way. And for me, I joke, like Mike Levy, who you met in last vlog, he was some, like, I had to, in order for that to work, I needed to get out of my own way, because I was very reluctant about tossing the keys to that business to Mike and allowing him to sort of drive the bus. But when that happened, everything got better. I made like twice as much money and I was happier, because I am not a great leader, if I'm being honest. I am not a great visionary when it comes to business or direction. I am kind of like a heads down, like tunnel vision type of guy. And so that's good in certain times, but it's also bad in others in terms of seeing big picture and really having an overarching view of what you want to do. And the bigger picture is not something I've ever been good at. I'm really good at working hard. I'm really good at focusing. I'm really good at executing. But in terms of overarching vision and helping to rally the troops, I kind of expect the troops to be grown-ups and do what they need to do. And so at this point, you got to put up or shut up. And if you're not going to put up or you're not going to shut up, whatever, you can't work for me, because I don't operate that way. I expect you to do your job. I expect not to have to micromanage you. And I expect you to be a grown-up, which is something that's hard. Something else I just like to leave you with in terms of ego. And this is something that I always think about. Actually, two things. One is something that my friend Steve says to me, and that is protect the brand. I have been in situations in my YouTube channel or business where I've gotten really pissed off, really emotional, really like invested in something. And I'll want to just like talk. I'll want to bitch. I'll want to yell. I'll want to curse people out. I'll want to post certain things on social media. And whenever I'm in these situations and I know that it's an emotional thing, I basically will go to Steve and I'll tell him. And what he often says to me is protect the brand. Does this benefit you, or does it just basically make you feel better temporarily? You got to protect your brand. And the times that he has done that and I have listened, I think I've avoided a lot of issues, because, my grandfather used to say, and that's the second thing that I would just like to leave you with, and this is something that I think about often when it comes to making decisions. You're either going to feed your family or your ego. You got to pick one. You can't do both oftentimes. And so think about that. You feed your family or your ego. What am I that passionate about that I am willing to risk my financial future or my business's success? There are certain businesses, certain entrepreneurs, certain owners of businesses that are fine. They're willing to plant that flag in the ground and make a stand, and they know that by doing so, they're going to alienate 50% of their potential audience. Me, I don't want to do that, and that's one of the crazy things. I'll see these celebrities, I'll see people that have a following, or they'll have some type of, they've got notoriety, and they feel like it's their job in order to let everybody know how they feel. Well, that's fine. But Dixie Chicks are a great example of that. And the reason I thought about them is because, do you remember what happened to them? They used to be the Dixie Chicks. Now they're just the Chicks, which is stupid. But they were super crazy successful. But then they decided to make a political stand and say something negative about the president, who at the time was George W. Bush. which they failed to realize. And that was one of the most deaf things that I've ever seen. Country music fans are conservative. Country music fans are from Texas. So when they went out and criticized and said they were embarrassed to be an American, because that's the other thing, country music fans are Americans, right? The fact that they would come out and be like, I'm embarrassed, like that was a death sentence, and they've never recovered. They fed their ego versus their family. And that is just an example that I always think about. It's like, really? Do you really care that much to let everybody know what you think? Then if so, then do it. Some people feel that they need to. Me, I'm going to choose to feed my family. And so there are a lot of times where I suck it up. There are a lot of times where I keep my mouth shut. There are a lot of times I just don't debate. I don't argue. I don't say anything because I am choosing to take the road of Switzerland. I'm not in it. I'm neutral. Anyway, gentlemen, I love you more than our double monk trap shoes. If you have a business question down below, start with business question and ask it. Next week, more of them. And next week, actually, it will be 2022 when I'm talking to you. So gentlemen, good luck. Congratulations. We've almost made it to an end of another brutal year with this damn COVID thing. But hopefully 2022 will be amazing in terms of success, in terms of friendships and family and loved ones and travel. I hope and pray that you are doing great, and just want to hope that you had a holiday. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to wrap this video up. Hang on. I hope you had an amazing Christmas.